Welcome to the Small Business Sisterhood podcast. I'm your host, Pepper Makepeace, an online business strategist for female solopreneurs and side hustlers, and founder of the Small Business Sisterhood, an online membership community serving small business owners in the first stages of business. Join me as I go behind the scenes with female entrepreneurs, revealing the struggles, strategies, and inspiring stories of these amazing women. If you're interested in connecting with like-minded women, learning effective business strategies from the experts, and being a part of a mastermind group that helps you grow your business, check us out at smallbusinesssisterhood.com. Today we're talking to Krista Goral of Measuremake, a made-to-measure clothing company offering dresses that fit and no bullshit. We talk about how Krista started her clothing business out of a personal frustration with fit after hearing from so many women who experienced the same problem. I love how she dove in to solve a problem even without having any sewing skills before launching her business. Krista shares her struggle with mindset and how she overcame it, as well as her passion for giving her clients a positive shopping experience and a custom dress that fits. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to chat.
So tell us about Measuremake.
We are a new made-to-measure clothing company. Made-to-measure is just really a fancy way of saying custom fit. We meet with clients one-on-one and take their measurements, and then each dress that we make is made exactly for their figure, which is fantastic. One of the main problems that I think most people, both genders, but especially women, they have a lot of problems with fit, finding things that fit in the stores. So that's the main problem that we're tackling right now, is just giving clients a garment that actually fits their figure.
I think that a lot of women can identify with that problem of not having things fit properly. So that is wonderful. So tell me more about how you got started doing that. Have you always been in the clothing making business?
I haven't, actually. My entry into this came from personal frustration. So I was in corporate America. I was in corporate banking for a while, and then went into custom software for corporate clients. I was wearing a lot of business clothing and in pretty conservative settings, and I'm 5'9". So I would put on like a business dress, like a sheath dress, and it was always too short, and the slit was always too high. And even if you order a tall, I found out that industry standards for tall is 5'7". So even tall garments were still too short on me. As I talked to more and more women, I realized it's not just tall women, it's petite women, and it's women being one size on top than they are on bottom, and having different types of shapes that really aren't satisfied by the current model. So as I talked to more and more people, I just felt like women deserved better. So I got into this a little under a year ago, and just started experimenting with sewing. I didn't know how to sew, so I started doing that, and then started getting into pattern making and just kind of built it up like person by person.
I think it's so brave that you went into something that you didn't really have the sewing experience to do, but was that part challenging to learn about sewing and pattern making?
Yeah, it was. I think the hardest part about both of them is, especially sewing, it's very trial and error. And it's a lot of being comfortable with seeing fabric as a raw material, because if you don't sew, which I didn't before, you see clothing as the finished good. And one of the challenges was buying a lot of fabric and just kind of like churning through it and making mistakes and understanding how to like work with the fabric and see it as a raw material, at least as I was working or as I was learning. And then pattern making is a little bit different, where the raw materials there are just paper and rulers and pencils, so it's a little bit easier there, but there are a lot of different methodologies that people use in pattern making. So I did take a class that taught me just the basics of a bodice, which is the top part of your dress. And then from there, it's a lot of figuring out, you'll see the same alteration or the same fit mistake, or not even mistake, but like same fit thing on 10 clients in a row. And after you make that alteration 10 times, you realize, oh, my pattern needs this small adjustment, either because of the pattern or the material or the style of the dress or whatever it is. So yeah, I think with both of them, both of them were a really fun challenge. But yeah, it's a lot of patience and trial and error.
Kudos to you. It's not easy to sew. I have a little experience myself, but I've never been into pattern making and that kind of thing. So that is really impressive and really brave of you to do. Have you done any kind of other entrepreneurial projects like this before, or?
Oh, good question. Not really. There's so many people out there who have like the lemonade stand, or I know like Richard Branson had his like magazine in high school. Like they have these things.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't. I kind of an introverted, kind of weird kid, and definitely didn't. In fact, the closest I ever got was, I think I was in middle school, and I made some like flyers. I was going to walk dogs in the neighborhood, and I like made these cute little flyers. They probably had like a hand-drawn puppy on it or something, and I just like never passed them out because I was so scared to like go around and put them on all the neighbors' doors. So yeah, up until now, not really. And that was actually one of the biggest things, was like really learning sales. But coming from software, I was really familiar with the concept of a project, the concept of like working in uncertainty and like moving towards a deliverable at the end of a timeline, and trying to get a lot of like ambiguous, free-floating things together on time. So like that side of it was a little bit more straightforward for me, but the sales side was definitely a learning curve. Like going out and meeting people, and lots of resources like books and like watching YouTube videos. And I think that is like one of the things that you don't anticipate until you start, in terms of like your entrepreneurial progress.
Absolutely. And I think that sales piece is a big one for a lot of women entrepreneurs that don't have experience with that. It was a big hurdle for me as well when I first started out. Tell me a little bit more about like your ideal client.
Yeah. So our clients right now are really varied. I had a few ideas around who I thought she would be, mostly from my own experience, right? So I'm doing sort of the general style of the dress is, it's a dress you can wear to the office, you can wear it on a date night, you can wear it to brunch with your in-laws. It's kind of one of these like little black dresses, but it comes in more colors, but just like a great all-around dress. So I thought the woman who would be most interested in it would be the woman that had all of those places to wear it. So she's a professional woman, she's probably in an office, or she has clients that have office settings. And then she is also interested in wearing it out to like client happy hours or professional events, whatever it is, where you're wearing something a little bit more dressed up, and not like jeans or whatever, which is what I often wear now. But as I've met more and more clients, I haven't yet channeled my marketing or messaging towards any specific person or type of person. So it's really been great to meet a lot of different types of women. And I think now I understand that the woman I love working with most is one who is really frustrated with fit. She has either like one size on top than she has on bottom, or she's petite. A lot of these fit problems that almost really any woman has. I mean, as I'm saying this, probably every woman is like thinking of her thing. Like my thing was height, and almost every woman has one. So to the extent that she is frustrated with that and wants to solve it, love working with that person. And I think the second thing is a frustration or a problem with the shopping experience. I think that shopping is really inefficient. It's tough to find what you're looking for. It's really frustrating to go into the mall and sift through tons of racks, especially when there's like tons of garments that you're not interested in finding. Like you have an event coming up, you want a dress, you have a few colors in mind, and yet you have to go into 18 stores and like sift through, all these racks of like jeans and sweaters and whatever else is there. So the combination of those two things, a woman who is frustrated with fit and frustrated with the conventional shopping, is someone that I love working with, and I think really likes working with Measuremake.
Absolutely. And I think I and many other women I know would fit into that category. So I kind of have the opposite problem of you, as where I'm right between petite and the regular size, and so the petite's always too short and the regular size is always too long, and I really don't understand how they decide which is which. And it's not consistent, as you know. So totally understand both those frustrations. So I can see where Measuremake is a really, really awesome solution for a lot of women with similar frustrations. So that's wonderful. Tell me how you get most of your clients.
It is almost exclusively word of mouth, but I will say that I group in, it's word of mouth, but I might have met the woman before, or it's like word of mouth from maybe 2 people, and then I work with a client. So it's kind of this word of mouth plus like relationship building on top of it. But actually, I looked at this recently, like I think last week, and I was shocked that I think it's like 70% of my business right now is word of mouth. And then on top of that, I think it's another like 15% is repeat. So it's a lot of women being happy with the experience and sharing it with friends, and either mutual friends that we have, or there's a lot of like organizations that maybe I'll meet someone in the organization and I'll meet a few other people in the organization. So it's a lot of that. It's a very like organic relationship-based word of mouth.
Do you have anything that you do to kind of encourage that process with your clients? You know, do you have like incentive programs or anything that you encourage people to spread the word about, their experience?
I don't right now. The reason being that I really want to preserve the integrity of the relationship. It's something that I would maybe introduce once I'm more at scale and those relationships are beginning to thin a little bit, where it's a larger company and you don't have as close of a tie maybe to like all your customers. The reason I haven't so far is because I build such like genuine, authentic relationships with my clients, and then they spread my name to their real, genuine relationships. So right now I've really wanted to respect the integrity and like maintain that actual relationship, and rather than like putting a transaction on it. That being said, I definitely, I have some clients who have referred me to like a bazillion friends and clients of their own. So I definitely have like different things that I do for different people, because at a certain point it's just such a great like bud of the business. But I don't have anything formal because I love meeting people, and the most important thing is that they're happy and it's a very genuine, organic thing.
That's really a great way to think about it. And instead of just pushing the marketing and pushing people to give back to you, I can really hear how authentically you care about your clients and their experience and respecting that relationship. Yeah. That's really great. So for somebody that's interested, do they need to be, and remind everybody where you are
so
located?
We're in Chicago, Illinois right now.
Okay. And do people need to be local to Chicago to be able to use your service?
Don't.
Or how does that work?
A lot of my clients are based here in Chicago, and the reason for that is that I love meeting with them in person. It helps for them to understand the fabric, and it helps with measurements so that I can help them take them, which means taking them for them. And it also helps with that relationship. Like I mentioned before, I think there's a lot that goes into the dress besides the dress. I think there's a degree of like discussion around what she's looking for and where she's going and things like that. But that being said, I have worked with clients who are in other states. I have clients in Colorado. I have clients in other areas of the Midwest. I have a few clients in DC. So what happens with those is if I have several clients who are interested in the same city, I will make a trip out there, at least one, to meet them, take measurements, let them see the fabric, things like that. If it's one client and she's really interested in getting a dress, what I've done is just do video chats. And what I do is walk her through how to take measurements and then kind of show her the fabric and the colors. And that's been really successful. It actually works really well. And then what I do is make the dress, get the dress made, and then ship it to her. And once she receives it, we do the same thing. So she puts the dress on, we video chat again, and we kind of talk through like how it fits, how it feels, does she like it, do we need any alterations? And again, it's worked really well actually. So that's definitely something that we can do.
That's wonderful, especially for me, because I am really interested. It sounds great. So do your potential clients, like when they come to you, do they need to have a sense of like, where they want to wear it or what they're looking for? Or do you kind of help them figure out what style they want or what might look best on them? Like, for example, like a neckline, do you like help somebody based on their body type know what would be best for them?
It really depends on the client and what she wants out of the conversation. I have a lot of clients who have events that they're going to, so throughout the summer especially, it was bachelorette parties or bridal showers or rehearsal dinners or weddings or maybe a black tie event if they're getting something a little more formal, but they have kind of an event coming up that they're wanting to buy a dress for. Beyond that, sometimes in terms of like the style breakdown, they'll know exactly what they want. Sometimes they even bring me a photo of like something similar, because we have kind of core neckline sleeve skirts that we will put out there just as a starting point to help clients get an idea of what they can do. But that being said, it's definitely open to all kinds of things as long as it's within kind of the framework of what the fabric can do, which the fabric is, it's a ponte aroma, so it's like a structured knit fabric, and it's a really popular fabric right now, and it's one of these like super flattering, you can wear it to the office and out to date night, kind of like I said before, it's a great fabric. But there are limitations, of course, of what you can do. So very often some women will bring me a photo of exactly what they're looking for, and then we can kind of talk through if I have any questions or like concerns on construction. And then other times clients are totally open and they will walk me through what kind of styles they've liked in the past or any concerns around fit. They'll usually share like what they love highlighting, what they don't want to highlight, like if they want to show a little leg or if they do not want to show any leg, or same thing with arms. Some women love showing their arms, some women do not. So from there, we can kind of walk through, like if you do a covered arm with a full sleeve, maybe you want to do a slightly shorter skirt or vice versa, just to have like that balance of like showing a little bit, not too much. And that's when it helps like understand, are you wearing this to the office? Is this a date night? Is it both? And kind of going from there. In terms of like body type, it definitely comes into play with the skirt. So I will help them with like the skirt length, what's flattering, and especially in terms of like what kind of shoes they might be wearing. And then sleeves, I'm going to be honest, I always love a full sleeve. So I put it out there. The reason I like it is because the wrist is the smallest part of your arm. So it's a really like elongating, elegant line, I think, on everyone. That being said, it's not as versatile of a dress. I mean, it's tough to wear, especially in Chicago in the summer. But that being said, I have, a full-length dress that I wear in the summer, and it's not too much of a problem. But yeah, it's really a dialogue. That was kind of a long-winded explanation, but it's very open to discussion and like back and forth, and it's like sharing their feedback on clothing and like their bodies, and then like me kind of contributing and responding to where they're at. So very long-winded, yes.
That's awesome. No, it's great information because, it's not a concept or an experience that I think a lot of people have had of, getting something custom fit just for them, and, really knowing what their options are, I think is a really great thing. So thank you for explaining that. Hi ladies, I wanted to tell you about ConvertKit. ConvertKit is a powerful email service provider, and I'm so in love with it. It's tailored toward content-driven businesses like bloggers, service providers, and podcasters. They make it so easy to create automated content and provide a lot of useful tools to help you have amazing results with your email marketing. One of my favorite features is their robust tagging feature. For example, if someone buys your course, you won't keep sending them the promo emails telling them to buy it. I hate it when I get sales emails for products I've already purchased, don't you? It really adds a personal touch to be able to send targeted emails to subscribers. And just for being a Small Business Sisterhood podcast listener, you can get a free 30-day trial. Just go to smallbusinesssisterhood.com/ConvertKit for more information. I love your business, and I think it's awesome, and I think you're awesome for starting it. Like, can you tell me more about your experience on the business side? I know you mentioned sales being challenging. Were there any other things that you felt were surprising or unexpected or maybe difficult in your first year?
Yes, we mentioned. And I think the biggest thing is it's the hardest part is the part that nobody ever tells you about before you start. Like, you read these, like, when you're getting into it, you know, you're thinking, you're doing research, and like you'll hear these kind of cliche things like determination and persistence, and you're like, okay, I get it, like effort every day. But what you don't know until it happens is the mental mindset and like managing your headspace every day when you wake up. So, you know, you wake up and it's one thing to, you know, go through the effort and like put in the work and the time. And of course, that's really important. To get there though, and to keep doing it, you have to manage all of these anxieties and questions and frankly, loneliness. There's like this, you know, you still are very single and, you know, you're a lone entrepreneur, even if I think if you're a co-founder, but early on, before you get your first clients and before you've built out some peers in the space, if you're new to the space like I was, there's this like, I call it like deafening white noise where, you know, you've quit your job and it's really scary at first because you're not sure if what you're doing is real, if it matters to people, if it's good. You know, there's a degree of uncertainty starting out where, of course, it's a lot of friends and family buying your stuff, which is great and super supportive. For me, there was also this question and this urgency to get out and meet strangers because I really wanted to make sure it was like real, you know, in the marketplace with like people who didn't know me. So that's the hardest part, I think, when you're first starting out is, you know, the effort is one part, but this sort of like mental, I almost call it like mental health or like managing your mindset of like making sure that your thinking is accurate, that what you're doing is real and it's valuable to people. And then I guess also just making sure that like it's actionable, that like the things you're thinking about, like I realized like a month in that worry was wasted energy. Like there were mornings early on where I would like write down all my concerns, like my questions, like how will I find fabric or how will I find sewing help, which I've now hired like some seamstresses, but like early on I thought this was like very constructive. And I realized after like a month or two that it wasn't. It was like wasted energy because rather than resolving those things or researching them, I was like dwelling on them. So that's my like biggest thing is like whatever is in your head, it should be actionable and it should be as accurate as it can be. And if it's not accurate, then make it actionable, like test it out and make sure that you're making progress. That's the hardest part.
That is perfect. And I totally agree with you because you can learn all the things about starting a business. A lot of people just talk about the practical tools of the business aspect, but not that mindset piece. And I think you're absolutely right that it is lonely and it is confusing and there's so much doubt in the beginning because it's just not tried and true yet. I love your idea about like keeping the thoughts in your head actionable, and if they're not, then let it go. And I think that's a really great tip. I think a lot of people can definitely use that. Is there any other advice that you might give somebody starting out?
I mean, I think beyond that, the most important thing that I try to really focus on is progress. So even if it's when I was really early on, it was honestly maybe an hour or two a day, but as long as I was touching it and moving it forward a little, I think holding ourselves to progress metrics and benchmarks, which are different from project to project, but I think you can find some good benchmarks out there, like weekly growth rate. You know, that's one that I watch really closely is like weekly client growth. And week to week, you know, you'll have ebbs and flows, but like over the course of a month or 2 months, making sure that you're not in the same place this month that you were last month. And like day to day, it's easy for like Tuesday to start to bleed into Wednesday, bleeds into Friday, but like making sure that, you know, and it goes back to that like persistence and determination thing. Like you got to just like throw yourself at it a lot, which is, it's good. I mean, it's part of the good fight, but yeah, that's probably the other thing I'd share.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too, because if you don't know where you are and what you've actually accomplished or not accomplished, then there's no way to know if you're actually doing anything productive. So I think that's great to really check in and see where things are. And if that needle's moving forward or not. So that's really good advice. I really appreciate your time. This has been so awesome talking to you. Do you have anything new in the works that you're doing right now, or anything
things are always, like I said, things are always
for the
kind
future
of
of
evolving,
Measuremake?
building on themselves. I am talking with my fabric supplier about introducing new fabrics, which a lot of my current clients have been asking for months. And especially as we go into the winter months, I'm looking at like some stretch wool fabric, maybe. We'll see. And then on top of that, just like tons of events. We're just trying to, like, again, build organically, but definitely build. So in terms of clients who are interested, and I think as we continue to expand out our line of offerings, I think it's going to, over the next even like 6 months, get really, really cool in terms of fabrics and details and embellishments and things that we'll be offering. So I guess just watch, and it should be very exciting.
I'm excited to see what you come up with. Thank you, Krista, for talking with us today. You can find out more information about Krista and the link to the Measuremake website in the show notes for this episode at smallbusinesssisterhood.com/2. I hope you found this episode useful and inspiring. If you did, please hop over to iTunes and leave a review. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.